Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines here. Ripple shows us the direction they're going to be going, and you're going to want to know about it. And guess what else? So does the G20 president. And she's talking about a moment that sounds a lot like flipping a switch. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on Twitter, and YouTube for exclusive content. Good morning, everybody. $1.22 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 1%. Careful what we call progress. 27,600 plus right now for Bitcoin, 1,800 plus for Ethereum. Tether market cap is 81.5 plus billion. We're watching it. 46 cents per XRP as it's off more than 10% right now in a 7-day. Whoo-wee, what's going on? Before we get out of here, we're going to take a look at a possible 10-cent XRP scenario, believe it or not. But we got a lot of stuff that's good news to look at here. And we're going to start with this because this is fantastic news. Take your investing to the next level by investing in private equity. What we're talking about is Link2. The Link2 platform is for private equity. And yes, you have to be accredited. But let me tell you a little secret about Link2. There is not a company on this earth in the accredited investor space that is doing more to democratize finance than Link2 itself. Don't believe it. It's still true. Click that link underneath the video. Find out if you're accredited. And if you're not, find out what you need to do to get accredited and make it happen. It is a hell of an opportunity. Check out my sponsor. Just to let you know, Larry Fink, from CEO of the world's largest asset management fund, unloads $25 million in BlackRock shares. Really? Oh my gracious. I wonder what Larry might know about what's coming. You know, it's no guarantee, but some would say that this is a bit of a signal that there is some kind of a pullback, recession, drop in the economy coming when you see CEOs like this take huge shares and dump them prior to a moment like that happening. No guarantee, but we'll be watching. Ashley Prosper shares here, I found a transcript from one of Gary Gensler's blockchain money lectures at MIT. He is well aware of ETH ICO and even knows how many purchasers there were. I'm more convinced now than I was before that he himself is a disguised ETH whale. He says when his company did 25 million initial coin offering, the day of that offering, which only had 40 to 50,000 purchasers on the day. It does sound like Gary Gensler, Goldman Gensler, might have a little more knowledge than originally thought here. Mark Phillips says, if true, it could be evidence that he lied under oath to Congress. And then we went on to see comments come up from this too as well. And shout out to Ashley Prosper for this work. But there's also comments brought up from Mark Phillips and others as well that, hey, you know, we look into this. What if Gary is one of those disguised whales, right? And if he did lie underneath oath in Congress, and wonder if Chainalysis could actually provide analysis on this to ID those disguised whales, or at least their wallets. That's Mark Phillips working right there. I tell you, if you're not following Mark Phillips, you should be. Let's take a look at this, because while we're seeing all the melees and confusion for clarity of digital assets and crypto stablecoins here in the U.S., the UAE introduces a new bill for 100% tax exemptions in a free zone. That's the disappointing thing for me here in the United States, right? Is that it's not the United States saying, "Hey, we're all just trying to figure out what this is." No, Singapore, Japan, the EU, UK, the UAE, they all have clarity. They all know how to treat these things. And it's disappointing because the U.S. is absolutely dragging its foot as the largest economy, and I have to feel that it's deliberate at this point. Janet Yellen says China, Russia, and Iran are finding ways to move away from the dollar after witnessing how the United States used the world's reserve currency to impose financial sanctions. I've also seen reports, which I haven't been able to completely verify, that the U.S. is now hooking Russia back into the SWIFT system. If anybody has any information on that, we'd certainly appreciate you sharing that with us underneath in the comment section, or tag or DM me on Twitter, because it does feel like they are going back into relations somewhat from what I've read so far, but we still need to verify. However, major Asian economies, China and Singapore, have set up a task force to deepen bilateral cooperation in green and transition finance. Now, this is important, because we know the green agenda, we know the XRP ledger, carbon neutral, is poised beautifully, I believe, in my opinion, for where the world is moving with a global agenda here. And now this move here is amid at facilitating greater public and private sector collaboration for a lower carbon future in the region. Again, we'll see some evidence here from Ripple that they're working on exactly the same agenda, and I think you'll find it just as powerful as I did. But this right here, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very powerful. This is the president right now of the G20 this year. It is India, and you're going to hear from Nirmala. And look, these are very important comments, and this sounds a lot to me like a realization that one country can't just do this crypto business regulation. It has to be all of us at once, she says. Don't believe it. It's still true.
Comments. There was a lot of interest on digital currency, on e-rupee, as well as how we plan to regulate crypto. You mentioned in your recent travels abroad that a global consensus on crypto for regulation is necessary before India makes any move on that. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
That's true. The G20, of which India is currently holding the presidency, it was India's proposal, and it has been taken on board. I'm glad to say the G20 has kept it in its agenda for this year. The IMF has given a paper on cryptocurrency and its the way it can affect macroeconomic stability. The FSB is the Financial Stability Board, which is a part of the G20. It was set up by the G20. Even they have agreed to give a report that will also focus on the financial stability. And their report and the IMF's report are going to be discussed in July, when again the first finance ministers and central bank governors will meet under the G20. And post that in September, there will be a summit of prime ministers and presidents of the G20 nations that will be held in India. The underlying principle is, because digital currencies are so obviously, naturally, and of course, they are completely digitalized and technology driven. The technology which is very distributed, and sometimes identity is very difficult to be established, but which has potential, will therefore have to be acted upon only with all countries coming on board.
There you have it. Take a listen right there. Everybody's got to be on board for the regulation to work. And it doesn't mean that you're controlling the technology, which she is going to say to all of us again in just a second. But I need to highlight this. She's saying all G20 nations need to come on board with regulations at once. If you don't, then you have some kind of arbitrage situation, regulatory arbitrage happening in a country. Listen again.
Therefore have to be acted upon only with all countries coming on board. No one country individually, in a matter of technology driven a crypto asset, can effectively control it, because technology doesn't have any borders. It can just pass through. So the very character of it being technology driven requires all countries to be on board. So if you were to regulate here and not regulate elsewhere, it will only flow like that and keep hitting back at you. Mm-hmm. It will not be effective. And therefore, the understanding today, and I'm glad to say, understanding the G20, along with OECD and other organizations, IMF, World Bank, and so on, is that yes, a global understanding is required, a global template may have to be created, all of us will have to work together on it, otherwise regulating crypto may not be effective.
And I tell you, this is a very powerful statement, a global template. That's what we're talking about here, because you have to have at least a foundation of regulation that is consistent throughout the G20, right? If you don't, you're going to have an arbitrage situation. Look, you can't stop the technology. The Bitcoin maxis are right about that. They've been right about it since day one. But we've been right about the idea and understanding that they can regulate it or tax it out of existence. And we're not just talking about Bitcoin. We're talking about technology. And the truth is, if they're all on board together, what we're really hearing her say, I believe, is that they are moving towards adopting a template of regulation that will be consistent across the G20. And that regulation of that technology, just as is of the internet, will be the moment I believe I have been waiting for. I am here for that moment. I am here to see the top down. Yes, I absolutely believe we will see developers come out of the ashes, and there will be a new Google. There will be a new Amazon. There will be a new Facebook someday. There will be a new this, a new that someday. All of those things will happen, and they're amazing and beautiful. And I don't know anyone as a company that's doing more to encourage the grassroots up from the ashes adoption than Ripple themselves. However, a moment like what she is describing of a G20 adopting a template of regulation for crypto technology would be absolutely explosive, almost like a flip the switch moment when that actually takes place. Because that consistent regulatory framework on a global level will give the confidence to the world that this is the rules to the road. And then you will see adoption like we never have. I really do believe it. Listen to the last couple seconds here.
But that doesn't mean we are controlling that technology of distributed ledger technology.
That's right.
It has its goodness, it has its potential, it has its own strengths. We keep that in mind.
That's right. You don't control the highway, but you monitor the activity. Yeah, you monitor the activities, not as much the entities. You can register a wallet, be KYC, and that information be private and personal. I've said this multiple times. And then what? Then the cops on the beat start sitting on the side of the highway. If you're speeding, they're going to come get you and find out that your wallet belongs to you. Right? If you're doing some kind of swerving all over the road, your suspicious activity or whatever, you're going to get pulled over and they're going to say, hey, what's going on with that wallet? Whose wallet is that? Let's find out why they sent money to that bad actor. That's, I believe, the world we're moving towards, no doubt about it. All right, now then there's this here, which is a list, a massive list, and I can't play this with sound because I know it's got copywritten music behind it, but this really is amazing here, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm going to read just some of this to you. But it showcases very nicely some of the partners and people from Ripple, like Ken Weber, VP of Ripple Impact, Miles Holliday, co-founder of Carbon Title, talking about the need to move towards a carbon-free, carbon-neutral world and how significant that's going to be in the future. Former CEO of RMI discussing collaboration with businesses and industries. And then you'll see here in just a second, other people too, Palau representative, I mean, it is really remarkable to see them showcasing, here you go, the UN ambassador from Palau discussing the importance to certify that carbon credit aspect and carbon neutral aspect of the XRP ledger. These are the very important things you're hearing. Co-founder Carbon Title, Trevor Dreyer, talking about the important issues. And I don't mind telling you, at XRP Las Vegas, we will have a panel about real estate and blockchain. And we're going to have Boone from Blockchain Laboratories, who spoke at Apex, who is going to talk about the importance of moving towards carbon credits and things of that nature. This is a very, very big aspect. Zange.com, as we know, co-founder right there, Esteban, who is working with the United Nations, built off of the XRP ledger. This is the world that's being built to grow into. That's where we're going here. And it's pretty remarkable. And I tell you, it goes on and on with the list of people that it has in it. So I wanted to share that with you. I also wanted to show you with a solid presence providing cross-border payment solution in Asia. Ripple has been rewarded with the hike in XRP adoption. Can this get better? Of course it can. Clarity United States, and we'll really start to see an explosion. A Cambrian explosion, the way Chris Larson talked about. Here we see crypto now represents such a threat to government and current financial system that regulators are doing everything they can to drive digital asset adoption out of the country. But the reality is we also see what we reported on yesterday. Shout out to Eleanor Tarrant for this. Could FSOC's new proposal possibly pave the way for classifying crypto companies systemically important as a way of regulating them? I have been talking about this for more than 2 years. And then there's this. What about the hypothetical of some kind of unforeseen black swan event? I always look for Tether. That could send XRP down to 10 cents. Shout out to Eggrad Crypto here. Quickly says, recently a friend posted that XRP will go back to 10 cents. This friend he has a lot of respect for, but says he doesn't believe that that'll happen. He does, however, say, barring some unforeseen black swan event, unless we have a black swan event due to regulation, because I do believe crypto started to be immune to normal economical activity and black swans. So it's pretty interesting there. And I say every day we watch out to see what happens to Tether. If we were to see a big, big moment happen to Tether, like a rug pull there from the government, getting it in a framework, maybe it's as simple as they're fined and they're ordered to file papers, and the next thing you know, they're compliant and they're good to go. I don't know. But if it did, then you have to entertain the idea that maybe we do revisit and break through that solid 30 cent range, 31 cent range of support there that we've had for so very long. I know what I'll do if it does, I can tell you that. But it's not financial advice from me. I'm here. I want to see the $2.80. I want to see the $15. I want to see the $100 and more. I believe that XRP has a role that's so amazingly designed for the world that we're moving into that we could reach astronomical dollars per XRP at some point someday based on adoption. But it's all going to depend on getting clear ruling on this case from the SEC versus Ripple, and then legislation from around the world and not just the United States that allows it to happen. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.